Hello and good Friday morning. It is a wonderful day today, and we are so excited, being that it's November 5th. We had a young lady, if you remember, on Fridays, which means I'll have to change that little thing I just had on and put in Friday with Lesley Salman. She is of Salman Realty, and she's also with Going Gainesville, which is a huge online presence, and you guys should check it out. Anyway, I won't keep her in the green room for long. Here she is.
Yeah.
Lesley Salman of Salman Home Realty and also of Going Gainesville, which is so much fun to watch. I have to tell you, Lesley,
Thank
I
you.
you have such great guests and you have such a great time profiling different businesses in the Gainesville area. It's fun to watch your show. Thank you for coming
Awesome.
and being back on. Be
Yay.
encouraged. I'm so excited to have you
Me
back on the
too.
program.
Yeah, me too. So how long has it been since I've been on here? And
Oh,
I'm just gonna preface today that everyone please excuse possible constantly mewing cat in the background that has anxiety.
oh no. Um, yeah, no problem. Anxiety. That cat's a big cat too. What do you feed
He's
that cat?
huge, I know. Well, he's a it's his fur. Like if he's wet, you'd be like, wait, what happened to him?
Right, I got it.
Yeah, but how long has it been? I can't remember when our last one was.
Over a month. It's been over a month.
Yeah, it was
We took off.
longer
We
than
took
that
off
too.
October.
It may have
And
been
so
longer. I think it might have been even into like
it was halfway through
July.
September, I think.
Yeah, I think we didn't do it in August maybe either.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember like going on trips and stuff, and I think that was part of it because I had some stuff coming up in the summer, and then we were just like, okay, when's
Right.
time
No,
to
you're
come
right. So
back?
it was almost the whole
Yeah,
summer.
it's been a
That's
long
right.
time. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad
yeah,
to be
yeah.
back.
I am so happy that we're back. We need to do this more like maybe at the studio. Have you come into the studio and do some shows with us there,
Yeah, that would be
and
awesome.
and also have you come on the radio show, which I do every day at 11, from 11 to 3 o'clock every day now.
Oh,
And
cool.
so that'd be fun to have you on the radio show
Yes, I would
talking.
love that. We'll get more
Yeah,
stuff scheduled.
yeah, it'd be fun. We have a. I think you and I have a good repartee, as it were.
Yes.
So what did you do? What did you do this summer? Tell me what you did.
So I mean I really just went on a couple of littler trips. When one of the trips that was fun, me and the kids just went into DC, and went to a couple museums that we'd never been to and stuff like that. Went to Pennsylvania, relatives up there, and but mostly just kind of like I had to take some time and like revamp my business.
Yeah,
Because that was really, I realized with all the changes that I had made personally, like I had to like incorporate them back into my business, if that makes sense.
right. No, it totally makes.
Incorporate
Kind of have to
myself
get
back
everything
in.
realigned.
That's exactly what I was doing.
I need to have a time to do that too. I haven't. I'm way out of line.
Yeah.
Alignment.
Well, it was, and that's the truth. Like I like finally realized, like, hey, you're gonna sit around and say that these are all your priorities, but you're putting all your time here, which was work.
Right.
And then what's crazy is you think, now once I realigned, and you're thinking like, how am I going to do all of this? Am I going to have to quit my job, find another job? Like, how is this all going to work? But then you realize, like, when you have your priorities straight, it enables you to do more because you have more headspace and peace in your life, and which gives you more energy to be able to you're actually doing more. I'm doing more now. I'm like, wait, how is this possible? Like, I'm running my whole office by myself. Like other times I've had staff or, people helping me or whatever. I'm like, how am I
Mhm.
doing this? I started doing artwork again and all this stuff. I'm like, how am I doing all this stuff now? I'm like reading to my kid every night at 9, like religiously. And every morning we're doing this breath work thing to make sure that he has good days at school. And like everything's falling into place. I'm like, how is this possible? And it's really just a matter of, it starts with like having your heart right.
That's true. I was just thinking that, it's people can run around. I used to, okay, I'll give you this example for me. I used to work at a radio station, and we had a wonderfully nice lady who was our office manager slash traffic director. And traffic means, all the commercials that go through the station, and she makes sure that it stays all tracked. And she never had time for anything. I mean, she was running around. She ran around with her head cut off all the time. And whenever she had to go on vacation, she had a couple kids, and she would run out and help them with stuff and come back to the come back to the station. And she just was constantly doing frenetic. It was very frenetic how she operated. And she was always complaining about how much time it took to do the traffic. Well, when she had in a girl that used to work for us, she would have her come in and do her job while she was on vacation or whatever. That girl would be done with the job in an hour and a half. And she'd sit in there and read the rest of the day.
Right.
Right. And it's like, wait a minute. It only takes an hour and a half to do that traffic. But it took her all day because she could not focus. Like you just said, her system was broken, and she had so many other things going on. She was always fretting about things, and that's where you're not anymore. You're much cleaner headspace, as you have expressed to me right before you went ahead and took a break for the summer. You were telling me things are falling into place. I've changed my outlook, and it was such an example for me that to watch you be so excited about how your life was starting to come together and work out, and it's just it was so much fun, and then you took a break.
I know, but I came back.
Yes, you did, and that's happened for me. But you know what I mean? And so she just didn't ever have time to free up time. You've freed up time, and you've come to peace with yourself. And that's the example. And that's what people need to understand is you take a little bit of time for yourself so that you can then serve. Yeah. And that's what our mission is in the world, is to serve. But we have to make sure that everything's set up for us so that we can serve. And I think you've done that, and you're an excellent example of that.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's been good. It's actually proven. I mean, it's one of those things. It's at the end of the day, what did it boil down to? Like, I didn't have the self-confidence that I could do it all.
That's a huge part of it. All right.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a big part of it. And now I'm like, wow, I could do it all. So
right. And that's
and
the
more.
other thing is you just do it now instead of thinking about doing it and then trying to do it. That's where a lot of people are.
And then stressing out about it before you even do it. Like, that was part of what I would do too. I would be like, I would resent everything that I was doing. Because I felt like it was tearing me away from what I really wanted, but I was the one making that choice.
Right.
But I just didn't see it that way. So now, like,
right.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy about it, and that's what's beautiful about it. Like, it's really just the more and more I learn, it's like it's really just small tweaks that we need. We think they're these huge, big, like, oh my gosh, I have to like completely change my life and do all this stuff. And it's
but then really that causes more stress. What I mean?
It's really just these teeny tiny small tweaks. And and I kind of like, it made me think one day, like, there's so many quotes and phrases that, like, until you live them, they don't mean as much to you. And I started thinking about that one, third time's a charm. And I put a post up about it one time, but it's really true. It's like, it's almost like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Like, first it's too hot, and it's too cold, and then you get it just right. You have to test. Like I was always testing both boundaries unknowingly. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but
Yeah,
I'd be
right.
like, oh, I would go from one extreme to the other, and it would be so daunting. And then the third time is a charm because you're like, oh, both of these that was too hot, that was too cold. Okay, right down the middle. So now I'm like learning how to just do the smaller tweak.
Right. And the other analogy is that you're burning the candle at both ends. The wick
Yep.
goes all the way through and you're burning at both ends, and it's just getting, and then at that point where it comes together and it just snuffs out.
Yeah.
And then you're like, but you have to put everything in its place. And once everything is placed in its place and you know where it is, stress ebbs away, and you are able to then address those things in the order in which you need to address them. That's why you can take time at 9:00 at night to read something to your boy,
Right.
and you can take time in the morning when you get up to make your coffee and center yourself for the day and not have a stress about it, and just line up. Not how am I going to, you just know that you're going to be able to handle it when you get to it. You don't have to try and figure it all out right now.
Right.
You've got you've been around, you've got the experience, and you now know you have the confidence that tells you that that when you get there, you'll take care of it.
Right.
I mean, that's what's so annoying. That's what they get to the Myers-Briggs, and they have the ISTJs and the ENFPs, and they hate each other because the ENFPs just let it roll,
Right.
And I don't mean that sounds like I was setting myself up to be, but I'm an ENFP. It doesn't mean I don't have, parts of the I and the S and the T and the J also in my personality. But I definitely lean to the ENFP, and
I'm the ENTP.
You're an ENTP.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But you still have. I know.
Oh yeah.
You still
I
have
the P. The P's the one that's. I feel like the P's the one because you're not judging things. You're more like wanting to know all the different.
You're perceptive, right? Exactly.
So I think that's very helpful to me. I mean, they're all. I think that I've been all. I almost feel like I've been.
No. We all. Yeah, that's like I did the first time I ever did that was I was part of a youth group. I was one of the leaders of a youth group, and we had a leadership weekend at Tom's cabin, and and so we went up there, and Tom, who was our associate pastor at our church, was also a Jungian psychologist, and he was also a facilitator of the Myers-Briggs. So before we left, he gave everybody a test, and we all filled the test out, turned it into him, and then he, of course, facilitated it before the weekend. We came to the weekend, and the first thing he asked us to do was get a piece of paper and whatever hand we don't normally write with, write our name. So I'm sitting there with my left hand going,
I know, I hate that. I'm like, why can't you listen to me?
But he said, can you read your name? And we were all like, yeah. Okay, so you can write with your left hand. It looks terrible and all that kind of stuff. And, we had to have somebody who was show off and it was ambidextrous and could do both. And said, well, I just wrote just like I write with my right hand. Anyway, whatever. And
well, I'll do it in 2 different languages at the same time then.
Exactly. So, but the point he made, and then he went over, the next thing he did was he said, how many of you think we started the meeting? And my good buddy was like, why is that? Because he had handed out the agenda. And the first thing on the agenda is open with prayer. And we hadn't done that yet. So in my buddy's mind, we had not started the meeting because we had not opened with prayer. But we had been talking about stuff. And Tom did that on purpose. He knew that the people who were the T's were going to be like freaking out that we're not following the agenda,
Right.
And he was freaking out. He's like, when are we going to start? This is all bullcrap, when you go camping, Mark says you haven't gone camping till you've pitched your tent. So that whole hike up the beautiful mountain and the has nothing to do with camping until we get our tents pitched. There's no stopping to look at scenery. We're not doing that. We're going to pitch our tents so we can start camping. And that's the problem with the T that I know all T's understand. They all understand that. Yeah, I know, I get it. That's one of those things. So then my mother-in-law is downstairs. I was just wondering who that was that I heard. So basically, you have been able to now just release that stress, and
I'm way more stress-free.
Huh?
Yeah, and it's so funny. I look at all the stuff that I was doing backwards. I was the type of person when I get everything all ready, I'll be able to work out again. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why wasn't I working out all along? Now I'm giving me more energy.
Right.
So, and it's funny because too, I mean, if you see where I was and where I am now, yes, you would be like, how is that possible? You didn't make small changes, because all of them together are a big change. But each little thing was small to me as I did them. You may have seen you commented. Yeah. I just quit vaping and drinking. Anybody would be like, that's a huge change, huge lifestyle change. I didn't really drink all that much. It wasn't some raging alcoholic, but
right.
But if I'm going to quit vaping, well, I might as well quit doing the thing that a lot of times makes me make bad decisions, such as vaping. So I'm
right.
And then once I quit doing both, I realized, holy crap, just going out and socially drinking was actually really did take a lot of energy out of me. I mean, it was that fear of missing out. It was, even if I had one or two afterwards, whatever, let's say I had one or two in an afternoon, my rest of my day was pretty much shot. I wouldn't feel like doing anything. Or let's say it's in the evening. In the morning, I'm not going to want to get up at 6 a.m. and do breath work and get up and work out.
Right.
And that was, I mean, again, I would probably only drink one or two drinks once or twice a week, but I didn't realize how much. And then the vaping, constantly thinking of what I got to get my vape, and just the headspace that it was taking up. I did not realize. I just saw it as the actual activity, but it was the headspace. And I'm like, oh my gosh, who would have thought just quitting those things that changed my relationship with my son.
Right.
And then my son was getting in trouble for, in school, he's got, he would always be we've talked about this before, the fidget spinners and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he did not like that I vaped. So he was always complaining, Mom, why do you vape? It's so bad for you. And then finally I was like, Brian, we're going to learn to do something together. I was like, my vape is my fidget spinner. I fidget too. And I was like, so why don't we both work on having good days? And that's where the breath work, I realized, was coming into play. It was, at the end of the day, it was anxiety. And what was my anxiety? My anxiety was I wasn't comfortable being me. I had to be doing something, at all times to feel competent in life. I was always looking for something more, but there was nothing more to find.
Right. Because you already are you.
Yeah. So it was that's what I was like, oh my gosh, that's what this breathwork's doing. It's getting us comfortable just being.
Right.
Just sitting there and just putting that space in. And it's been crazy. So he comes from school. I'm like, I didn't vape today. And he's like, I had a great day at school. And we slap each other 5. And his teacher has been messaging me. She's like, whatever you're doing is working. So we've been trying to catch him doing the right thing. And yeah, so it's been good. All good things.
That's right. So I have a little wooden coins that my dad and I both have, and we're professional Santa Clauses, and so we have the wooden coins that say Santa caught me being good, and and when the kid's looking at you like, you get just your regular everyday. My dad, I think, gets it more than I do because he's got, he's really got a bigger beard and it's all white and everything, and so he gets a lot of out of the corner of their eyes from kids, like Santa Claus. And when he gives them that coin, oh my gosh,
That's so awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So, and so that's fun. So that sounds like what you're doing with your boy. You're trying to catch him doing what he's supposed to be doing, and then rewarding that, or at least recognizing it. You don't have to necessarily reward, but to recognize it is the reward also a lot of times with him.
Oh yeah, and even whenever he does something that he needs some consequences for, the consequences then don't have to be a punishment. They're a reward because they're going to help you get better. And I always say that's something that I feel like growing up, I struggled with, I had, and again, this is nothing against my parents, but I didn't have anyone that really said, it was just like, don't do, they tell you don't do this, but you don't, no kid wants to be getting in trouble. Tell me how not to do it. No one teaches you how.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, this is what I feel like, okay, Ryan, yes, I don't want you to do that, but I'm going to give you a skill or a coping mechanism that's better than the one that you're using right now, which is to just get mad and yell at your teacher or something. And so now, it was funny. I caught him the other day. He said to my mom and I were both like, you need to do this and that at the same time. And he was like, just give me a breather. And I went running into his room. I go, what did you just say? And he told me, I go, Ryan, you just changed your life. This is exactly what we were looking for you to be doing. I was so excited. And, we gave each other a hug. And yeah. So it's super cool.
That is super cool. Well, that's the way kids are these days anyway. I don't know where it came from. It's the input they've gotten from all the social media things and all the different inputs from even the programming that they watch on the TV is set up to make them want to know why. I want to know why. And I refuse to just be told to do something without telling me why. And where they picked that up, I don't know, because I didn't have that. You didn't have that. Our parents said, don't do that. Maybe we did have the why, but we didn't dare say why.
God. That's the difference between you and me.
Okay.
That's why I was always getting in trouble. I challenged everybody. I
was there too, and I did get in trouble because I've always been that person. You got to tell me why. But the kids now, especially.
It's the difference between why wanting to understand and why wanting to come back and continue to fight about it. It's
right. That's true.
Judging versus understanding.
Of course, a lot of times I'd say to my dad, "Why?" He said, "Because I said so," and it's like, "Yes, sir." that ended the conversation right there. Okay, yes, sir. But I did want to know why. Why? That doesn't make sense to me. Why can't I do that? That's not hurting anybody. It could possibly hurt me, but it's not going to hurt anybody else. And of course, that is the why. My dad didn't want me to hurt myself.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. And so when I worked as a security person in the high schools at Falls Church and at the other store, I would tell kids why they couldn't do certain things. Like they wanted to wear their earbuds in their ears. And it's like, you can't wear your earbuds. At least you can't but one. You got to take one out so you can hear what's going on. And there's so many reasons. Like what? And I would run them off and they would go, oh.
Well, you know what? That's the difference between discipline and actually discipline comes from the word disciple. So, Jesus didn't discipline his disciples. He taught them. That's, if you're coming at it with a wanting to educate someone so that Well, duh. Yeah. Oh, if I stick these tweezers in the light socket, it will char my hand black. Like, oh, okay, then I won't do that. But if
Right.
I just think you're telling me not to just because you are telling me not to, then
Right.
I need to know why.
Because I'm
On
trying
my
to
own.
render my authority over you. Right. You know,
Yeah. It's the difference
um,
between somebody wanting to do something and just doing it because someone forced them, like, oh,
right.
you
And
know.
and what happens when you explain why? They realize that you care about them.
Yeah.
And that's the huge part about it. I remember, and you don't. I just do it naturally, but I don't recognize. I do now. I've been explained. It's been explained to me, I guess. But I've always been brought up to love, people, and to just love them as unconditionally as I'm able to, you know. And that's because I was always loved. I mean, and I'm very, very fortunate and blessed to have always been loved nearly unconditionally. Um,
Right.
and even when I did something wrong, I knew that I was still loved, and so consequently, sometimes I did things because I knew I wasn't going to have a whole lot of consequences, and I'd just go ahead and try it anyway. But there were certain things that I didn't try. I didn't try drugs. I didn't really drink alcohol before I was legal. Well, of course, that was only 18. I was legal at 18 to drink alcohol if I wanted to. Never acquired a taste for it, and I never had it modeled in my home. My dad didn't drink at home. I mean, I know he. Looking back, I remember there were times when we came back from a party and, oh, Dad's not feeling well, and then
Right.
it's like, why? Why isn't he feeling? He's just not feeling good. He must have eaten something wrong. No, he was drunk, and he was in the bathroom, and Mom would drive us home, and I didn't put those things together until I'm an adult. But the nights when my mom would drive us home, it was kind of weird. Why is Mom driving?
Right.
But and it didn't have. He wasn't fall down drunk ever. Nothing like that. I never. He would. I was never able to. I never saw my dad like that kind of drunk, which so many people have. They've
Right.
seen their parents that way, and that's harsh. It's a harsh world, I think. I'm blessed that I never saw that, and so therefore it was never modeled to me to be a drinker. So I never have been that much of a drinker. I mean, there's certain drinks I like. Yeah, I used to love a good whiskey sour every now and again. But I never, and I've been drunk, yes, of course, but um, but it just hasn't been a part of my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I count myself very fortunate, but I understand. So I don't look down on people at all,
Right.
period. I've got kids at school that come to school drunk, and it's like, what happened with that? Instead of, what the hell you think you're doing? You're going home. I'm calling your mom. It's like, no, we got to find out what the deal is, find out what the problem is instead of treating the symptom.
Yeah.
Is finding out why are you drunk this morning? Why are you, as a 14, 15-year-old kid, drunk? There's no excuse for that. I mean, and it's not on you. There's a reason why you are, and it's
Yeah.
much bigger than you. And the same goes for stress and other things that we in our lives have to overcome. And it sounds like you've done that, and I'm
I'm
so
getting
proud of
there.
you. I think that's so
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, we got to get together. I got to give you a big
I know. I'm like, I have a listing out in when you said the to come by that one day, I was like, well, I do have a listing in Burke now.
Well, there you go. Next time you're in Burke, to swing by the studio.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as we're done, and we are done,
Yeah.
it's 10:30. But yeah, come by. I would love to see you. I would love to give you a big old hug because
Yeah,
you're
that
my
would be
buddy.
awesome.
And we're going to keep doing this and
Yeah.
coming up, ladies and gentlemen watching. And there's been a couple people. I recognize Billy Riley chimed in, Tura and James Waltz. We're watching, and there's some people watching now, and we're going
Oh,
to tell
and
you
Jesse
guys.
Jesse popped up. My
Oh,
friend Jesse.
cool,
He's
cool.
he watched on YouTube. So that's
That's
good.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
cool.
So I can't wait to do this every Friday, and we'll have some different subjects to do. I saw something yesterday that I definitely want to push into the show a little bit about the top 3 things that we need to all do in our lives, and like one is get over yourself.
Yeah, kill your ego.
Yeah, it's not about you.
Yeah. What's crazy, and this will be good to get into with that, is, and I know we got to go, but I've realized if I don't have my ego, like, there's nothing to be angry about, and forgiveness doesn't even exist. What am I forgiving? Right. Their coping mechanism that someone's using that they picked up when they were 2? I decided was about me because I'm so important.
Exactly.
What do I have to forgive?
Thank you, Lesley. You're awesome.
So are you. Have a great day and a great weekend.
I will. Take care.
Okay. Bye.